to Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a filmmaker, no other than Mr. Cameron Smith.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Welcome, Mr. Cameron. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Sure. I am a artist and filmmaker from Wilmington, North Carolina. I have been making videos and films since I was 11 years old, and I've been into music and stand up since I was 16, 17 years old, and I'm 30 now. I just finished a documentary narrative hybrid project called The Loneliest Boy on Earth. It is an 8 episode series that is streaming for free on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/ Cameron Smith Films. And the first episode is a 2.5 hour feature film that stands on its own. And the following 7 episodes are a continuation of the story that is established in that episode. It is a mixture of real documentary footage and then also some recreation, narrative, actor oriented footage, and it's blended together in a way to where it's supposed to not be difficult to tell what is real and what is not. But I will say it's not only based on a true story, it is literally the true story. At times you are literally looking at what is real, and I am it is my assertion that I am honest throughout the whole thing.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Cameron Smith. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
Oh wow. Live
Yes,
studio audience.
indeed. So today let's talk about the loneliest boy on earth. Yeah, I think this is your series, right?
Correct. Yep.
So, what is the nature of the boy's loneliness? Is it a physical isolation
Mm.
or a profound emotional disconnect despite of being surrounded by people?
That's a really good question, actually. You know, I think there is a surface level meaning that I do mean going into this title. And that is really, I'm talking about loneliness in the romantic context. Not really being able to form a romantic relationship, get a girlfriend, or even like if I'm having relationships or situationships with women, they don't last very long because they don't. I'm not good at maintaining them or forming a deep, lasting connection. So loneliness in that way, but I also believe that loneliness, I think there's a Carl Jung quote, and I don't even want to try to say it because I'll butcher it, but something along the lines of real loneliness isn't necessarily about having people around you or not. It's really about of being understood by people around you. So I mean, you can be surrounded by people, but if you don't feel understood, that really is kind of where the depth of loneliness is. And I also think that that connects with why you would want a deep, real, intimate connection with a romantic partner, because that's usually someone you go so deep with, you both inevitably commit to understanding one another. And if you can at least have one person in your life with that kind of connection, it brings a certain kind of stability and meaning to your life that you really cannot find in any other place.
Indeed. And while the title points to an extreme, how does this story tap into the universal quiet experiences of a loneliness that everyone feels at some point?
Can you repeat that question? How does it tap into? how does this
Yeah.
film tap into that feeling?
Yes.
Okay.
That
Um,
everyone feels at that point.
right. Well, I think that it's a similar answer to the one I just said, but it's, the film outlines me and my romantic unrequited romantic situation. It shows a bunch of past relationships and my failures in that regard. And here I am now at this point in my life where I'm about to make a documentary about that problem. I'm putting cameras on my real life and now documenting my interactions with women to try to figure out what is going on so that I can rectify the problem. Now, there is a bit of a humorous, dramatic irony in that, uh, you know, putting cameras on you and willing slash maybe not so willing participants um, are made wildly uncomfortable and questioning the sincerity of, is this guy really looking for connection or is he just trying to make some exploitative art? And am I the butt of the joke? And it that pattern of behavior that you see in me seems to be like potentially what is wrong with me. um and I think that the it connects with the other side of my previous answer, because I feel like what it is I have a lot of people around me that understand me to various degrees. Like, I have a lot of good friends that understand me fairly well, but maybe not entirely. And then I have like an old relationship with someone who I felt understood me quite well, but that's far in the past and it didn't work out. So here I am, not really feeling connected and not really understood, and trying desperately to create a piece of art that generates a greater understanding of me and who I am and what's going on with me and what I'm really about and who I am truly at the core.
Why on earth does the ground the story in our reality, or does it ironically highlight that has loneliness exists even on a planet of billions?
Are you asking me why the words on earth are in the title?
Yes, please.
It's it's a little bit to be hyperbolic, like I'm exaggerating. I'm probably not the loneliest boy on earth. But sometimes when you feel extreme loneliness, that sort of exaggerated language um can can feel as if it is the truth. Uh and also, to your point about having 8 billion plus people on the planet, this loneliness is a universal feeling. And I think that that was another thing that motivated me in terms of seeing this film or this project as unique to me, because I make a lot of absurd and weird stuff that's kind of hard to connect with. And this, I felt like tackling loneliness and those honest, true, deep feelings that I have about loneliness is something that's universal, that could be extraordinarily relatable to a lot of people who have their own experiences with loneliness.
The narrative and the world building, Mr. Cameron. What happened to place him in this position of ultimate loneliness? Was it a singular event, slow erosion, or condition he was born into?
Hmm. Yeah. How did I end up this way? Well, hmm. I don't really know. I don't I don't know exactly how to accurately backtrack and figure out how I ended up this way. Um I think I was watching a YouTube video the other day. I think it was a Father Mike Schmidt video on the word or the subject of magnanimity. And in there he says something about who you are is God's gift to you, and who you become is your gift back to God. So, in that sense, I could probably look back at my history and look at maybe the way I was raised in my environment and point to the way my mother treated me or the way other women in my life have treated me or the way I behaved that earned that treatment. But I really don't think I could pinpoint a single reason why. And I think saying that it's a disposition that God gave me, or in a more grateful, sort of positive voice, say it's a gift God gave me, my loneliness. And that loneliness motivated me to make a really beautiful piece of art. And that is, I suppose, part of my becoming and my gift back to God is creating a piece of art that transformed me. And I think on one hand, brought me to turn or brought myself to terms with my loneliness to where I can not only accept it and appreciate it, but also healed the loneliness to where I attracted my girlfriend. I have a wonderful girlfriend now, and it's the girl of my dreams. It's a girl who I've been in love with since I was 12 years old, the first time I ever felt love. And it's wild that this person is back in my life because we hadn't spoken in 10 years. But immediately after finishing this film, she came back in my life.
The glimmer of hope. Why is it the first tiny crack in his loneliness? A signal, a memory, unexpected animal, a message in a bottle.
Hmm. Well, I I think it was an intuition that was put on my mind, heart, entire soul. I This is how I operate creatively. I have no shortage of ideas in terms of like projects that I could work on. I'm overwhelmed by what I could work on. And even when I enter a phase where I've just finished a project and I'm kind of in an incubation period where I'm trying to figure out what the next thing is, I can't just intellectually choose what to latch onto next. There has to be like an intuitive knowing of like, yep, this is it. And then I put my entire being on that project until it's finished. And so it was a moment 3 years ago, just in the shower. I was high. I had smoked pot and I was in the shower, and I was just thinking about how this issue of loneliness and my romantic failures are like my Achilles heel. It's like the biggest source of suffering for me. It's the biggest problem for me. It's the biggest distraction for my art and all the other things that matter to me, and I don't know how to overcome it. And the idea was essentially that's my greatest weakness, but creativity is my greatest strength. So what if I put my greatest strength against my greatest weakness? And that is make a documentary about this. And so that there was the crack, or the message in the bottle was I truly feel I had a spiritual journey to where like I didn't believe in God for a large portion of my life, and I came back to that belief in a profoundly vibrant way during the course of making this film. And I truly do feel that God put this idea in my mind. I think he gave it to me.
Themes and deeper meaning, Mr. Cameron. In our hyper connected digital age, does this story serve as a cautionary tale or a reflection of how one can feel lonely in a crowd?
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat that question one more time?
In our hyper connected digital age,
Hmm.
does this story serve as a cautionary tale or a reflection of how one can feel lonely in a crowd?
I would say it's probably more of a reflection of how one can feel lonely in a crowd. And like I have all sorts of thoughts and strong opinions about being in the digital age and what that's costing us in terms of depth of connection interpersonally. But I really didn't comment on that very much with this project. It's there, it's like implicit in there. I think it's also like kind of subtly the source of maybe certain people's behaviors. I think that the digital age and the kind of connected we are is extraordinarily shallow. And I think these shallow connections and satisfactions are something that breeds psychopathic behavior, like casual psychopathic behavior. And I think largely the behavior that myself and other people in this movie participate in is borderline psychopathic. And it's kind of power game manipulation esque. So, um, yeah, I think it's more of just kind of a reflection of the time. And there's probably an angle of looking at it as a cautionary tale, but I don't think it's outright a cautionary tale. I think I'm doing a lot of stuff in this movie that I don't think anyone in their right mind would do.
Mr. Cameron, as an artist as well as filmmaker, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Short and long term goals. Well, my short term goals are to get more people to see this project. It's long form. It's not a Marvel movie. It's very difficult to. I'm not well known. I'm not a famous person, so it's difficult to convince people to watch something like this. I will tell you, if there's anyone listening that is considering watching it, I think you'll enjoy it. I think most likely you will enjoy it if you can give it your time and attention. I think that there is a lot of art being made today that doesn't really have much depth, that doesn't really, it's made by a bunch of people that are not putting their souls into it. The auteur is dead in a way. There's so few auteurs left that are kind of just grandfathered in from like golden age of cinema. And I feel like a lot of the newer or forthcoming auteurs, no one really knows who they are because no one really gives a shit. And so I feel like I I've made an auteuristic art piece here, and I think it would have a lot of value in both entertainment and perhaps meaning and resonance with people if they gave it a chance. But my short-term goal is to jump over that hurdle of getting people to give it a chance, despite the fact that I'm pretty unknown, that I'm essentially a nobody. But long-term goal, I hope that I can earn myself a position to where people do know who I am, and that I can continue spending my life making the art that I feel expands myself and could expand others. That is something new and refreshing and deep and entertaining, enjoyable to make, enjoyable to collaborate with the other people that I make it with. And ultimately, I really I have hope for the future that we're going to get tired of all this shallow algorithmic art that's being produced today, and that there's going to be a movement or a revelation creatively where people are tired of cookie cutter movies and TV shows and music, and they want good stuff again. They won't tolerate the watered down bullshit. And I'm sorry, I never even asked, is it bad that I'm swearing on here?
Well, once in a while, Mr. Cameron. I allow to once in a while.
Once in a while. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll try to keep my mouth clean from here on out.
Well,
Um,
yes, go ahead.
no, that was basically the end of my thought. You go ahead.
Good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an artist as well as a filmmaker like you?
Oh, I didn't even know I was going to be giving advice today. Um, hmm. I I am very much a creative integrity person. I think that there are a lot of forces out there that are going to try to get people with unique ideas and unique words to or unique ideas and unique creative abilities that are going to try to shape these people into being, something that's more digestible or something that's more um pleasing to a larger portion of people, something that's politically correct and inoffensive. And I say, if you're passionate about your ideas, you need to stand up for them, and you need to do everything you can to have creative integrity. But also at the same time, like, it's about your passion for the ideas. It's not about ego. So like in some situations, don't don't have needless fights for things that ultimately don't matter. You can be presented with all sorts of opportunities that you might spoil if you let your ego get in the way. So it's this balance of, fight for and stand up for and maintain creative integrity for what you know to be important, but don't allow your sort of lower vibratory motivations get in the way of you actually getting things done and getting things made and expanding your consciousness and your creativity.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Cameron. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence Johnny?
Yes, of course. Um, so there's a bunch of books that have brought me to where I am, but I think in the context of promoting this film, I'll say Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, um, particularly the chapter on tell the truth or at least don't lie, because that moment when I because like I said in our sort of pre-interview here, people have a general sense of knowing it's good to tell the truth and that they should do it. But I think it's very common that people justify little white lies or bending the truth to, I suppose, serve their own wills and their own interests. But I don't think people really realize the consequences of what that does to your own psyche and soul when you allow yourself to get away with even little tiny white lies, and you slowly become unable to trust yourself, and you really aren't even aware that you don't, and you're not even really aware of what happens when you can't trust yourself. And so I when I understood the depth of what that means to tell the truth and like really stick to that ethos, it changed my life greatly. It changed the trajectory of my life personally, and it changed the trajectory of my creativity. And wild things have been happening ever since that shift. Wildly good things.
Wildly good thing for sure. And thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Cameron. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Cameron, when a viewers finishes the last series, what is the single most important feeling and question you hope they are left with?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a hell of a question there. Um, you know, the answer is I I don't hope anything specific or particular. I didn't make this documentary with an intention to make people think a thing that I already think. I did try to tell a story as honestly as I could and talk about something deep. And what I hope is not a particular effect, but I do hope that it affects people. I hope that they finish the series and at the end of it, they see things differently in a way that's helpful to them, in a way that changes their life for the better. Even if what they feel and experience is super uncomfortable and causes remorse for themselves or shame or embarrassment, or like they see a lot of like shameful, disgusting qualities in me that they also see in themselves. If they go through that discomfort to then shift and change for the better, that's awesome. I really hope for things like that.
Indeed, and thank you so much for sharing your series to the world, Mr. Cameron, and hoping for more and more series like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support the Loneliest Boy on Earth series?
Yeah, just let them know where it is.
Yes, please. Where they
So,
can support you.
yeah, so you can go to this YouTube channel here on the screen. That's youtube.com/Cameron Smith Films. Or you can go to theloneliestboyonearth.com and it'll give you links. And you can follow me on social media. Instagram's my main platform, but I'm on X, TikTok, and Facebook at Cumsmut. That is CUMSMUT.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Cameron Smith, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering series like this to come. So, Mr. Cameron, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for yours, brother. I appreciate you having me on.
More to come, people. See you soon.